10 videos of Huston Kold, and in each video we will break one of his videos to learn them. In this video we are going to learn how to make this video. This video is a step-by-step tutorial where I show you everything in detail. So even the beginner users can follow this video. But before we start, all I want from you to subscribe to the channel and leave a like and comment to help my channel grow. Thank you so much. Now let's begin. Alright, so here we are inside of Adobe After Effects and we have this reel. Let's watch it first.
You don't need to be an expert, you don't need to have a large following, you just need to identify the results that you got in your life, turn that into an info product and sell it online. You don't need to be
So as you see, the reels start with a simple text animation that we will have a background transition into another text. Then we have a match cut and another scene will get revealed, and we have another match cut which this scene will transition into a sort of a Sapphire, and the Sapphire sort of gets shredded, and then we have a card revealing the info product. So this reel is fairly simple to make. So let's just start with making it from beginning. So as you see, we have this text. So let's just start with a solid background, and I'm gonna call it background. Let's just apply the fill effect, and I'm just gonna use a black fill, and let's just turn off it for a second. And let's just go towards the text tool. You don't need one enter, be an expert. Okay, so we need to fix that second line. So I'm just going to use the paragraph panel. Okay, this seems good. Now let's just also set the anchor point on middle, and let's just set it on here. And the color is of course white, and then we need to work on the animation. So let's just see the animation. So as you see, the text scales as well as revealing it word by word. So in order to reveal it word by word, we need to go towards the animate menu, and in animation we need to select the opacity, and let's set the opacity on 0 in order to make the animation work. And now we can just set a keyframe on the start, and on here we can just set it on 100. So we will have this animation. Let's just watch.
You don't need to be an expert.
And also let's just turn off the voice for the reel. So as you see, the text now reveals letter by letter. We need to change it word by word. So what you need to do in order to do that, you need to go towards the advanced section, and then you need to change the based on from the characters to words. Okay, this is exactly what we want. Now as you see on the original reel, which is in here, we will have a scale animation. So we are gonna do that as well. So let's just press U to reveal the keyframes, and let's just set a keyframe on the scale. And when it's in here, let's just reduce the scale by, let's set it on 85. And let's just turn it off and to see the original text. This is good. I like it. Now, if we get back to the reel one more time, you will see that we have a sudden anticipation in here. So to show you that, as you see, the text will zoom back, and then the other scene will pop up. So we can just do that simply by moving a few frames forward and reducing the scale to, let's say, like 92%. And this will allow us to have this anticipation. However, we need to change the sort of the movement. The movement is linear, so I'm just going to use the motion tools, and I'm going to set the easings on exactly 65%. So when the text sort of zooms out, we need to reveal the second scene. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to animate the fill. So I'm just going to set a keyframe on here for the color, and then I'm just going to turn it into white, and this is our background. So let's just reveal it so we can see it better on this point. So as you see, it's like this, and now we need to reveal it sort of like the animation that we have on the reference. So to do that, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to add a linear wipe effect. And if we go on the white background, as you see, I can change the transition completion in order to sort of create a wipe transition. However, the duration is wrong, so I'm just gonna set it on 180 degree. So now this will be exactly like the animation of the Huston Kold. However, let's just go towards the reference and let's just see the original reference for the second text. And as you see, we have a zoom out text. You don't need to have a large following. So let's just write that as well. I'm just going to turn this into black and let's just write, you don't need to have a large following. Okay, the large following is in the red. So let's just change it. Great. And I'm just gonna set it on here so we can now work on the transition. So I'm just gonna select the background and I'm just gonna set a keyframe on the transition completion. And let's just set the keyframes on toggle hold so there will be no animation in between. So when it's in here, I'm just gonna move the keyframe and let's go a few frames forward. And let's just set the transition completion to 0. Okay, certainly there's something wrong in here. Oh, we didn't highlight the background. This is the reason. Okay, this is good. But let's just also cut the you don't need to be expert. We don't need that anymore. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna copy and paste the you don't need to be expert animation. So I'm just gonna go towards the animator 1. I'm just gonna copy it and I'm gonna paste it for the you don't need to have a large following. But however, we need to make it a bit sooner. Right now it has a little bit delay. You don't need to, something like this. You don't need to have a large following. Let's just also set the easing on 65%. Okay, now we need to work on the scale. So let's just set the scale to 110% and then let's just reduce it to like 98%. So something like this. You don't need to have a large following. So as you see, the text is done. It's a little bit, we need it on here. Okay, this is good. Now, if we open the reference one more time, as you see in here, we will have a rotation on the text. The text rotates and the another scene will reveal. So let's just work on the rotation. So this is the start of the anticipation for the second movement. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna use the rotation keyframe and then I'm just gonna rotate it a bit. But however, as you see, the anchor point is on here, so it doesn't really give us a good movement. Let's just set the rotation around here and then let's just rotate it like this. This is good. And also let's just work on the position a bit. And we can just use the position a bit. And let's just turn these two keyframes on the easy ease. Okay, this is good. However, we don't need this text. Okay, so let's just watch. This is great. Now in the middle, when it's in here, we need to reveal the second scene. So I have already one scene that is similar to the Huston Kold style. So as you see, I'm just gonna bring the man standing. So I'm just gonna scale it a bit. And as you see, the image looks pixelated. Let's just click on the rasterize. So this will fix the pixelation. Now, one thing that I'm gonna do is that I'm just gonna add a tint effect and I'm just gonna change the map white to a reddish color. Okay, but if we reveal the reference in here, you will see that it's still a little bit different from what we have in here. So we need to sort of match it like what we have in here. So we need to add a couple of effects in order to make it work. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to create a new adjustment layer. And I'm just gonna add a, you can add a turbulent noise effect, but I'm just gonna use the turbulent noise from the Red Giant Magic Bullet. So this will be a better option. I'm just gonna set the mode on a soft light. So this will sort of create a nice shading for the image. However, let's just turn down the opacity a bit. And also what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna use a new solid layer. And I'm just gonna add the optical flares. And let's just set it on the transparent. And let's just place it in here and turn it also into a reddish color. Now there's one major difference between the reference and what we have in here. And the important part is that the Huston Kold separated all of these assets in order to, you know, set the text behind the subject, but we didn't do that. So for the sake of making this tutorial short, I'm just gonna use one layer combined. So something like this should be good for me. Now this is time to add the camera. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna create a new camera, and the type is set on 2-node and the preset is set on 80mm, which is fine. And since the camera is set on 2-node, it will be really hard to control it with only a camera itself. So I'm just gonna turn it into 3D. And as you see, if I want to control it with only the point of interest and the position, it will be really hard for me. So personally, I will make a null to simplify the process. So I'm just going to parent the camera to the null, and let's just set the null on 3D as well. So now what we need to do is that, and let's just open the camera position. So, and let's reset everything. Okay. Now let's just fix the man standing in here. And now I'm just going to use the null position to zoom in and fix the sort of the first camera. So this will be the beginning of it. Around here should be fine for me. And if we reveal the reference, you will see that we have a sort of a rotation coming. So we need to add the rotation now to the keyframe. So I'm just gonna go towards the animation. So we need to cut a few of these layers because we don't need it. So that will be around here. Okay. When we want to do the morphing, okay, this is exactly about here. Now this will be our fixed position. So I'm just gonna press position to set a keyframe. Now before that, what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna add a rotation keyframe. So I think we can add it on the, let's just set the anchor point on middle right now. Okay, so we can just rotate it from, let's say, the axis, but however, let's just deattach the camera for a while so I can move the null freely on the middle. So I'm just gonna select the null, and I'm just gonna, let's remove the keyframes quickly, and I'm gonna set it on middle. So this will help us to rotate it better, and then I'm just gonna reparent it again. So now let's just set the position, and let's just get back in here. And now I'm just gonna use the Z rotation to set a keyframe like this. Now let's just get back to the design. Okay, it's a bit zoomed like this. Okay. And let's just zoom in a bit. Now let's just pretty create a zoom out like this. And now let's just set the easings on, let's say, 70%. So as you see, it's a little bit too rough. So let's just decrease it to 35. Okay, this seems nice. But we need to work on the match cut a bit. So I'm just gonna push the keyframes a few frames backwards so we'll have an animation before even the cut. Now the important part, as I have mentioned, in Huston Kold editing style, the camera never stops. So if you pay attention to the reel, as you see, when the camera rotates, in here, again, we have an immediate zoom out effect. So what we can do is that we can also, now, when the camera is about here, we can create another null and we can create a secondary movement. So I'm just gonna parent this null to the null 4. So this will allow us to control it better, and let's just set the null on 3D as well. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna set a keyframe on position, and I'm just gonna zoom out the animation like this. And I'm gonna create the movement for 65%. So we'll have something like this. Now, when it's in here, another text will revealed. So let's just see the text. I'm just gonna animate one text. So it's identify. So as you see, the text is a little bit bright and we have some shadow around the subject. So about the shadow, I have already explained it in the DA edit style. So all you need to do is that you need to add a stroke around the layer and this will get you the result that you want. However, let's just work on the text. So as you see, we have this text in here. So identify, if I spell it correctly. Okay, this is good. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to turn this text into 3D. So the text is now in here. Let's just get it back to the comp, and let's just also use the position to zoom it. And let's just also use the scale to zoom it a bit, and let's just adjust it like this. So it will get revealed like a simple, you know, opacity animation. So I'm just going to do that. And we need to reverse the keyframes since everything is reversed in here. That's good. Now, as you see, the text was a little bit bright. So we need to add just a deep glow. And then what we need to do is that we need to decrease the glow effect. And you can just change the threshold to make it less intense. Alright, so this will be the text animation. So far we have this animation. Let's just close the panels so we can see it. That is all. Now, as soon as the camera zooms out, we will have a, you know, Sapphire animation. So let's just watch it one more time. So as you see in here, you will see that we have a nice circle pumps in. So how are we going to animate that? It's really simple as well. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to create a new rectangle. Let's just turn off the fill. Let's just set the color to, for example, red, and let's double click on the rectangle tool to create a rectangle like this. And now it's a little bit intense, so let's just for now set it on this color. The red is a little bit too intense for me. So what I'm going to do is that now we need to set this one as a track matte for the man standing. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to select the man standing, and I'm going to use the track matte tool to parent it to the shape layer, and let's go call this one the circle mask. So this is basically what we are going to do. And now what I'm going to do is that when the text in here, also need to parent the identify to the mask as well. I'm just gonna set a keyframe on the scale. So let's just go, like, for example, 20 frames forward, and let's just scale down the rectangle to here. Now let's just also set the background to black in here. So let's just go. So if I'm not mistaken, the background was black. So let's just press U to reveal the keyframes, and let's just copy the first set of keyframe and paste it in here. So exactly when it's in here, so it's let's just set on here. We need to have a black background. Okay, this is good. Now when it's in here, we need to just you know, remove all of the unnecessary layers, so we don't need the large followings. So I'm just gonna cut it. The man standing is about here. Now we need to turn it into a circle, so that is easy. I'm just gonna select the circle mask, and I'm gonna set a keyframe on the roundness as well as the size. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that first I'm just gonna change the roundness, and then what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna change the size to, let's say, 512 by 512. So this will give us the circle. We need to make it a bit bigger. So around here should be good. So what we have is here, we will quickly have a transition to this circle. So let's watch it. Okay, but as you see, the movement is a little bit too slow, so I'm just gonna decrease the keyframes. But if we get back to the reference one more time, as you see, when it's in here, we won't have the you know, the original design that we had before. It's a new thing, so I didn't really find it, so I'm just gonna use you know, I'm just gonna turn down the opacity. So to do that, what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna duplicate this layer, and let's just simply reveal it. So this will be our layer, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna use the opacity, and when it's in here, I'm just gonna animate the opacity. Okay, so this will be our, you know, second layer. So we don't need these layers, and let's just cut them. All done. Animate the opacity for the adjustment layers. So right now they suddenly stop, which is not nice. Alright, now it is time to create the split animation that we have in here. So this is also really easy to make. We just need to separate this circle into two layers, and then we need to sort of you know, push it apart. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna select this text, and let's just turn it into red now. It's okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna go towards the pen tool and make sure the tool that create mask is selected, and I'm just gonna draw a sawtooth check like this, and make sure you close the path like this. Okay, this is good. I'm just gonna call this one the upper circle. And what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna duplicate the upper circle, and I'm gonna call it the bottom circle. And I'm just gonna navigate through the mask, and in mode, I'm just gonna change the mode from the add to subtract. So this will fix the issue that we have in here. And now, as you see, we have a small issue in here. So what we can do is that we can just, you know, duplicate the circle one more time, and we call it the main circle. And let's just hide these two for now, and let's just open the mask folder and let's just delete it. We don't need it. So when it's in here, we're just gonna set it until here, and then we're just gonna cut it like this. And now when the animation wants to start, it's simple. I'm just gonna set a keyframe of position. So now I'm just gonna set a keyframe on the upper position, same as the bottom position. And I'm gonna just go around like 80 frames forward, and I'm gonna just push the upper one up like this, and I'm gonna push the bottom one down like this. So we have something like this. And let's just set the keyframes on 65% as well. So let's just get back to the reel to see it. So now, as you see, when the sort of the circle gets splitted, we have a text in your life. So I'm just gonna add the text quickly. In your life. And we can animate it the same method that we use for the other text. So I'm just going to copy and paste the animator one. And then I'm just going to paste it to the text in here. It should be a little bit sooner. And now as you see, when the circle gets splitted, it rotates and it will morphs into a card. So let me just show it to you for one more time. So as you see, this will be our animation. So this is pretty easy to make. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna create a new null object. And I'm just gonna call it the circuit controller. And I'm just gonna parent the bottom and the upper part to this circle. So now I'm just gonna create a rotation keyframe plus the scale. So when it's in here, let's say I'm just gonna rotate these circles. Let's say like around here. This is just mandatory. And I'm gonna just scale it like this. So it's a little bit too rough. That seems good for me. We just need to zoom in a bit. And now we just need to create another rectangle. So what I'm going to do is that when it's in here, I'm just gonna create a rectangle that represents the card, sort of. And let's just place it between these two. And let's just also set its color to white. And I'm gonna parent this one into null as well. So as you see, it will get something like this. And we just need to also cut the text at the end. And we need to sort of create this flicker effect that we saw on the text. So we see, as you see, it rotates a bit in, and then we have some card flipping in here. Exactly, you see that we have something like this. Okay, and also the position, we need to work on the position a bit. Right now it doesn't really look like what we have in the original reel. So let me just quickly work on it and make it like the original reel. So as you have saw, I just fixed the position of the, as you see the circles, and we have this card revealing right now. But as you see on the reference for the last time, you will see that the card looks like a 3D version. It's not like this. So at the end, what we can do is that we can just turn this null into 3D, and let's just set the circle controller into 3D, and we can also set the card on 3D as well. And we can just animate the rotation. So this is just simple. When it rotates, you can just use the rotation value for 3 axes, and you can just fix the rotation to make it look like the original reel, and then you can reveal the text like this. So this is going to be something that is close to what we have in the original reel. So then you can press F9, and we need to sort of do that before the last keyframe. So we need to just fix the positioning. So this will be the last part. So here's going to be our animation. Let's just watch it. And before we do anything, we need to add the post-rise time to reduce the frame rate. So I'm just going to add the adjustment layer. Let's just add the post-rise time, and let's do frame on 50. And let's watch. So as you see, it is close to what we have in the Huston Kold editing style, and here's our final result, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave out a like and subscribe to the channel, as it would help me out a lot for the future content. Thank you so much. Goodbye.